Struck started performing at the age of 5, 11 years old when the Jackson 5 released their first single. There's the scene right now outside of the Apollo Theater in Harlem. As an adult, Michael Jackson talked about what it was like to grow up in the glare of celebrity. Here's Michael Jackson in his own words.
Describe the performance that you put on.
Well, whenever I sing, that's what I really mean. Like I'm singing a song. I don't sing it if I don't mean it.
I would do my schooling, which was 3 hours with a tutor. Then right after that, you know, I'd go to the recording studio and record. And I'd record for hours and hours till it's time to go to sleep. So it'd be nighttime. And I remember going to the recording studio. There was a park across the street, and I'd see all the children playing, and they'd be rooting and making noise, and I would cry. It'd make me sad that I would have to go and work instead. Oh, there was a lot of sadness about my past life and, you know, adolescence and my father and all of those things. It just made me very, very, very sad.
So he would tease you, make fun of you?
Yes.
Did he ever beat you?
Yes, he did. Yes.
And that was difficult to take, getting beaten and going on stage and performing?
Yes.
And why would he beat you?
Because he saw me, he wanted me to, I guess maybe, I don't know if I was his golden child or whatever it was. And just think, nobody thought this would last. Because what's wrong with sharing a love? You don't sleep with your kids or some other kid who needs love, who didn't have a good childhood?
No, I don't. I would never dream of sleeping. I would never dream.
Because you've never been where I've been, mentally. But if you really want to know about me, there's a song I wrote, which is the most honest song I've ever written. It's the most autobiographical song I've ever written. It's called Childhood. Have you seen my childhood? They should listen to it. That's the one they really should listen to. This is it. I mean, this is really it. This is the final curtain call. I love you. I really do. You have to know that. I love you so much. Really. From the bottom of my heart.
Michael Jackson talking about the final curtain call. With us on the phone now is Sheryl Crow, Grammy Award-winning artist. She got her start as a backup singer for Michael Jackson. Sheryl, you know, the obvious question, when you first heard the news, what went through your mind?
Oh, gosh, you know, total disbelief. In fact, for a moment there, I kind of hoped that he staged his own getaway. You know, he's got a lot of gigs coming up and the pressure of that, and I thought, well, maybe he's just staged a getaway. And when the news really started trickling in, it makes my heart sick, absolutely.
You think about the pressure he must have been under. We're actually looking at a picture of you singing a duet with Michael Jackson. What was it like doing that?
You know, I can't even explain to you how life changing it was for me to sing with him, because for one thing, I grew up with him. Watching him as a 4- and 5-year-old, my first record was ABC, and how much he changed all of our lives, and then to be able to stand up there with, I think, the consummate performer of my lifetime, and learn from him. And there's no way to express how amazingly talented this person was, because not only has he been doing that quality of work his whole life, he created dances that no one had ever seen before, you know, and to create something that no one's ever imagined is quite a gift. And he has literally inspired Usher and Justin Timberlake and every young artist who's come along in that genre. He's had a huge impact on the music business.
What was it like being on tour with him? I mean, it must have been kind of surreal being part of that whole scene, that whole entourage.
Yeah, it was really surreal. For one thing, it was a huge traveling show, and at this point in his career, he was already starting to isolate himself. He wasn't nearly as open, didn't really hang out too much, although I was lucky in that I got to hang out with him on a number of occasions by myself. Like, in fact, I have a funny story. He invited me over to his hotel room in Tokyo, and we watched Amos and Andy videos and Shane, the movie Shane. And just completely unexpected. But he was, you know, he's funny. He had a big laugh. He loved practical joking, and I can remember vividly going to Disneyland and being on a ride with him, and he wouldn't let the ride stop. And by the end of it, I was just absolutely ill. And he just thought it was the funniest thing that he'd ever seen.
I also think I remember a story you told on somewhere about Bubbles the chimp. Was Bubbles on the tour as well?
Yeah, Bubbles was on the tour, and really by this time in Bubbles' life, he was much too big and strong to have out in public, let alone on a tour. So he didn't make the whole tour, but you know, he was out, and I can remember sitting with Michael and him, poking him in the chest with a ballpoint pen, saying that's the only way you can get his attention, you can get him to stop doing what he's doing. It was just, you know, there were some surreal moments, obviously, and I hate to think that those moments, or even this latter part of his life, has usurped the brilliance of his talent and who he was. But, you know, watching that video that you just showed about him, talking about his childhood and just how heartbreaking that is, you can see how his relationship to fans really informed his ultimate isolation and who he became, as well as his relationship with his father. So, it's, you know, it is tragic. It's tragic that at 50 he's gone, but did we ever think he was going to grow to be an old man before our eyes? It would have almost seemed too surreal.
Yeah, I mean, I actually did think about that a lot, and a lot of people talk about that as, you know, could you imagine Michael Jackson being 80 years old, and what would he be like then? Do you think he felt enormous pressure about this upcoming concert tour? Or these appearances?
I'm sure he did. I mean, I think he felt pressure in every way. You know, he has been under real scrutiny for the last 10, 15 years. He's been in real financial trouble, and this was sort of a comeback for him, and he's had so many people express interest in being a part of his comeback. Really wonderful producers, Jay-Z, and so many people who have said, look, it's just, you know, it could be one big hit, and I think he really felt this was probably a real comeback moment for him, and that's got to be an immense amount of pressure.
Yeah. Well, Cheryl, I know it's got to be kind of hard to talk about it, but I appreciate you being on the program tonight. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks. I'm going to mourn his loss, just like millions and millions of other fans out there. And I'm grateful that for a brief moment in my life, I got to stand on stage nightly and watch him sing Human Nature and Billie Jean, and do those moves and sing those incredible melodies that, you know, were original to him. So I'm sad and I'm grateful at the same time.
Yeah, it must have been a remarkable thing. Again, Cheryl, thank you very much.
Thank you, Anderson.
Well, just ahead tonight, we're talking about the autopsy. Michael Jackson's body already at the medical examiner's office. Choppered there just a few moments ago. There you see his shrouded body being put on a gurney, then placed into an ambulance for the short drive to the coroner's office. Just ahead, we're going to talk with 360 MD Dr. Sanjay Gupta about what happens next. We'll be right back.
June
It is a tragic
25th,
story,
2009.
and that trial was certainly the most surreal legal.
You were actually
using the guitar chords.
That was the day of his arraignment, and he looked so shrunken, so sickly. And
A minor 7,
when
B
he saw
minor,
his
G, and
fans,
E
and there
minor.
were hundreds of them there.
The song
He jumped on the cart and actually
is gonna be
started
called-
dancing a little bit. We'll see how long we stick with the shot, but he started dancing, and you could see the
Michael was
electricity
glad
of
to
what
be
the crowd
acquitted.
did for him. But through most of the trial, I sat about 3 rows behind him. He looked terrible. I mean, he was very difficult to
And at the start of that, is that the trial where they show the Martin Bashir documentary?
The first day of the trial, again, such a bizarre experience. They played
Michael
enough
Jackson was
to
glad to
we
be
just saw
acquitted of all the
prosecutors
charges
played
every
the full
time
2-hour
they
documentary,
happened.
which included a lot of
He
music.
was glad
And
to
during
be
the trial, in this
seen
part of the
as innocent.
jurors were snapping their fingers,
He still
singing along, and
continued
Jackson
on with
happy.
his
This was on the first day of the
musical
trial.
beat, making songs, dancing choreography.
What happened there and about all the people surrounding Jackson.
All the surrounding mystique around him. Well, now it doesn't matter today. He was acquitted of all the charges they laid on him.
How much was he in control?
He gave the world a lot of music. Yes, he did.
Very much.
He was into all his music. Yes, he was now. He still had a lot of fans all over the world. Michael Jackson has a lot of fans all over the world.
One of them made some sort of public statement. He was always publicly discredited later on. He never seemed to have what a normal person might call a fan.
Good tidings, Michael Jackson,
He seemed to be a very
as you
sad
embark
life.
on your new and sacred journey
He was
to
acquitted. The nature of his
the
relationship with the young
divine.
13-year-old who got more than $10 million in settlement, the 13-year-old who was the accuser in this case, it